Truth wears no mask, seeks neither place nor applause, bows to no human shrine. She only asks a hearing. A very pleasant good day to you wherever you may be, and welcome to the University of Common Sense. My name is Tim Morrow, and our subject is Doctors and Diseases. I'm going to be talking to you from a book written by Harvey Diamond early in the 70s. And it's called The Totally Healthy Person, A Case Against Medicine. I know that doesn't sound too good, and a lot of people who make their living off of selling drugs and all that, but somebody's got to tell the truth, and that's all I'm doing is I'm just telling you the truth. So in what we're doing here, we don't want to educate you. We want to informate you. I want to inform you. I think we've already been miseducated. We need some information, and that's what I want to work on now. I'm talking about being well, but I want to read from this book. This is one, you can't buy this book anywhere. I kept my copy. I don't let nobody ever have it, even use it, because you can't find this book anywhere because it was written with the truth, and the truth doesn't go very far in this country. It's lies that makes money. And so what I'm doing here is I'm reading from this book as it originally was put together. I don't think there was ever a copy that came out. He wrote another book. And he wrote another book with he and his wife. And I can't remember the name. It became a very popular book. But I've been in this business for 27 years, and till this day, this is the most informative book that I've ever read, and only because it tells the truth. Most of us want to be popular, not truthful. I want to be truthful, not popular. So I realize that what I'm saying here and what I'm doing is unpopular, and people don't want to hear. Most people don't want to hear. But there's a couple out there that does want to hear, and that's what this is about. Doctors and Diseases. It's chapter 2 in this book. And I want to read a few things here. Since this book is a book on health, it is important to understand its opposite, ill health or disease. Disease is the inevitable results of wrong living habits. However, what does medical science know about the health or disease of the human being? All research work to find the cause of disease by medical science have been made on dead or dying people. It sounds absurd, but the plain truth is that medical science has gone and is still going to the dead and dying to find answers about disease. They're going to the dead and dying to find how to take care of living people. Seems like there's something wrong there. But they do not study healthy specimens. Scientists are concerned with people who are either in the throes of death or are already dead. Their bodies are opened up and search for the wretched malfactor that killed the victim. When someone dies of a certain disease, the disease is studied to see exactly what it was. But to study the disease after the fact means nothing. It is the cause that is important. What caused the disease? Science is sure beyond any shadow of a doubt that every malady possibly is caused by billions of germs whose only mission on this planet is to torment human beings with every imaginable ailment possible and chase them to their graves, sick and crippled, praying for the relief that only comes with death. Listen to this. The germ theory is a child of this century. Now, I know I'm going to lose you there because he just said the germ theory, meaning it doesn't exist, which is very true. It's like he said, it's like our body, and I always say our body is our humble servant. It is there to take care of you. Everything it does is on your behalf. But if you listen to the germ theory, your body is looking for ways to catch diseases so you can die. The doctor is your friend and the germ is the disease. However, the doctor is suffering from the same thing you're suffering with. Doctors got the same problems as you have. People will do anything, listen to this, folks. People will do anything short of killing themselves to avoid accepting responsibility for their ills. Excuse me. Here are the patented scapegoats. Aside from the convenient germ, there is a world full of culprits to blame our problem on. Bacteria, exotic insects, microbes, obscure amoebas, viruses, mosquitoes, rats, you name it. It's amazing to me. Now, you know what's popular? I guess we must have ran out of countries with the flu, because now we have the bird flu. Some bird flew in and gave us the flu, and I guess he flew out. I don't know. But we have the bird flu. Now, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I see, birds don't come near men. They're scared of them. How did we get the bird flu? And now we got a mosquito, or what is that? An insect in the Nile. Some kind of an insect that won't come near human beings, but he has caused all these diseases. The bubonic plague was supposed to be caused by rats that wouldn't come near a human. But they went out and they killed all these rodents trying to get rid of it. It killed millions of people. Millions of people. And they still name diseases. Folks, if the disease theory is true at this very minute, wherever you are, wherever you're looking at me, it means that up in the corner there's 4,000 germs up there, and it's looking down at us. And if you're among a group of people, it's trying to figure out which one is going to zap. But I can tell you exactly which one is going to zap, because it ain't up there, it's in here. That's what he's trying to say here too. This is the view of science, but there's another opinion that received not nearly the recognition it deserves. There has been many men and women, natural healers, who have tried to make known their alternative views and who have been met with apathy and skepticism. One of them was John H. Tilden, a medical doctor for years, before he realized that there was more beneficial ways to assist people in healing their ills than by the use of orthodox methods of the day. In his words, it is exceedingly difficult to secure an honest hearing for any criticism or of authority. Established beliefs are well nigh invulnerable because they are accorded infallibility by the masses who are educated to believe that they will be damned for thinking, and because of this, few will tolerate opposition of any nature to anything that we have been educated to believe. It means your inability to think for yourself. If you think for yourself, you're a bastard. You're a maverick, because you don't believe like everybody else. Let me tell you something, folks. Conformity is almost the worst word in the English language. You ask somebody, why you do that? Well, because everybody else does it. It means there's no thinking for yourself. I read one time where this saying said, when two people always agree, one of them is unnecessary. And believe me, that is true, because you don't learn nothing from the two people who tell you the same thing over and over again. If you look at what is going on in the world today, the medicine is no closer to finding a cure for cancer than it was the day it opened 57 years ago. They never will find it, because it's much more profitable to look for a cure than to find one. That's the reason why Americans need to wake up and realize we can't think for ourselves. Remember this: no scientist, no astronaut, no doctor, no nothing, no human being has any more ability to reason than you do, regardless of what they were taught, how they were educated, and especially for yourself. Knowing your body is the best and it's the most beautiful thing that you can do for yourself. See, medicine says we went to school for years and years, And we learn the human body. Well, anybody can learn what the heart is, what it does. Anybody can learn the pancreas. Anybody can learn the anatomy. Anybody can learn anatomy. You don't have to go to medical school to learn anatomy. But you are the only one that knows when you hurt and where you hurt. And if it doesn't agree with the doctor's medical book, he's going to tell you that you're crazy and you need to see a psychiatrist. Let me read another one. The medical profession has been chasing the cold bug for 150 years. And in all that time has not made even the slightest degree of headway in alleviating the most prevalent of all human maladies. This is because it has no conception of toxemia, which explains a cold for what it is, an overflow of excess in the body that was not properly eliminated. You would think that somewhere in medical science often talked about the advancement, they would have figured out what a cold is. But as long as they continue trying to locate a cold germ, they will look for another 150 years with the same results they have had so far, and that is no results. Why? Because it's the most common of all the things that ail us is the common cold. How come they haven't found a cure for the common cold? We can go to the moon and come back. We can go out into space billions of miles away. We can't cure the cold. Nobody has come to the realization in that field that the cold is the cure. They're trying to cure the cure. If you don't have the cold, you will literally drown in your own mucus, which is what most Americans do. About 90% of the 300 million Americans that are alive today will die by drowning in their own mucus, caused by, especially by, and he even mentions it in here about the, he says, you do not catch a cold, you eat it, and that's true. In the preceding chapter, I described how you can easily get rid of the mucus is overladen with byproducts such as the dairy products, particularly milk and cheese, and all baked goods made with white flour are highly mucus forming and thereby coat the mucous membrane. Chocolate, white rice, or any heavily processed food is equally mucus forming. When these foods are eaten with regularity, the mucous membrane simply cannot accommodate the amount of mucus generated. The entire bronchial and nasal area is thereby clogged, creating the end result of phlegm being discharged through the mouth and nose. When this discharge inevitably occurs, science classifies as a cold and attack the healthy organisms. That's insane. Here we are suffering with what we did with processed food. And what do they attack? They attack the other healthy part of the body. It's like giving you chemotherapy or radiation because you got a common cold. The body is trying to clean up. And what are you doing? You're adding more waste to it for it to clean up. They're going to attack the healthy part of the body. If you periodically remove the excess mucus toxicity from the body and supply it with the necessary cleansing and building materials it requires, this buildup and overflow will not occur, and neither will the cold. Actually, colds are the simplest, most easily controlled of all the ailments developed by the human organism. The moment you feel tickle in your throat indicating the beginning of cold, it's when you have the opportunity to either avoid it completely or at least minimize its discomfort. And that's the truth. And what I use is herb. There's an herb called mullein, M-U-L-L-E-I-N. There's also a herb called fenugreek. There's a herb called, which one is that? Fenugreek, and I can't think of it right now. But let me tell you what they do. They soften the mucus so that the mucus can flow. In fact, the word mucus means to flow, and it's getting rid of the common cold. One of the reasons I talk about this so much is because it's so common, because the cold literally turns into what we call flu. It just means you didn't do anything about the cold. Or the worst part is you did do something about the cold, and that was the worst thing you did because you took Bayer, Tylenol, Robitussin, some drug that what it does is dries the mucus up. The body was trying desperately to get rid of it. That's all it was doing. It's waste. It's no different than the waste when you go to the bathroom and have a bowel movement. It's just the danger of this waste is that this waste will show up anywhere. Dandruff is dry mucus coming through the scalp. Eczema, psoriasis is dry mucus coming through the skin. Athlete's foot is dry mucus coming through the foot. Yeast infections, it's the same thing. Strep throat, they're all the same thing. It's the side effect of processed food trying to get out of the body. Why? Because the body knows it doesn't belong there, and it's trying its best to get rid of it. We've been taught to push it back inside of the body, and when you push back inside, you give the doctor some work. Then when nothing else works, they cut us open and try to do it that way. Surgery have become so common in this country that people never even think of the risk when they're going to have surgery. Everybody talks about, well, I'm going to have surgery, and it's no thought of it. But nobody tells you about the amount of people who don't wake up from the surgery, who were put to sleep and they never wake up. And the knife never touched them. And then the ones that the knife did touch, and they never woke up either. And then the mistakes that are made, it's like it's never ending. And it's a way of life. We've taken it in stride. Folks, I can't take that in stride. I've never thought in my life, long before I got in this field, that surgery was ever the answer to any of our problems. And even though we take it with a grain of salt, to me, every surgery is a major surgery. You've heard the old thing about major surgery and minor surgery. Minor surgery is when they're going to do it to the guy next door. Major surgery is when they're going to do it to you. And that certainly is true for me. Listen to this. In February 1970, there was a great deal of news on television and in the newspaper about a person who was cured of cancer. Isn't that amazing? And yet and still, millions and millions of people are cured of cancer every minute of every day. But you never hear anything about that unless the medical field says, oh yeah, we cured you of cancer. Big block letters in the newspaper praise the American Medical Association report on the first success in treating a certain type of lung cancer with the exclusive use of chemotherapy. Wow, of chemotherapy. Got to remind you of all the people, of the 100,000 people that they did chemotherapy on at one time. It was called Hiroshima. When they dropped the bomb, at the flash of the bomb, 100,000 people died, and 25 million died later. And here's chemotherapy curing somebody. Let me read on here, because I don't remember what this one was. It was chemotherapy. No radiation or surgery was used. Wow. Very little coverage went into the fact that the cured patient happened to die of pneumonia. Wow. Isn't that great? The doctor walks out on the stage in front of all the cameras that's going on around the world, and he walks out and he says, ladies and gentlemen, yes, the surgery was a total and complete success. However, the patient did die from other complications. They have forgotten that their first job is to keep the patient alive. But since they can't keep him alive, they brag about the surgery that was a success, even though the patient died. What a horrible way to recognize your occupation. The operation was a success, but the patient died. In this case, they never even told you. He happened to die of pneumonia. As stated in the article, the drug weakened his defense against the infection. He caught pneumonia and died, which is not unusual for some cancer patients cured by drugs. You know, You ever watch a person who is taken care of by, I'm talking about a sick person who is taken care of by medicine, by doctors and drugs and treatments and chemotherapy and radiation? Their demeanor, do you know what they look like, how they look? They look sick. And they may be alive, but just barely alive. But medicine has got its chest stuck out, telling you how important what they've done is. Here, they are telling you about the chemotherapy that was 100% success, but the guy died of pneumonia. Does it make any difference what you die of? When they tell you about this drug they got on the market now and the side effects of it, and one of the side effects is a stroke. Could you tell me what disease would you exchange for a stroke? If I had AIDS, cancer, herpes, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, high cholesterol, if I had all of them combined, I wouldn't trade them all for a stroke. But we take the drug without so much as a second thought. Several years ago, I had the opportunity to lend assistance to someone who was suffering from a hospital-induced disease of pneumonia. Incidentally, pneumonia is almost always a hospital disease. You can go into the hospital well and come out with pneumonia. And medicine admits to it. She originally went to the hospital for an extremely heavy vaginal discharge. This was treated with the standard vein, namely drugs, and more drugs. She was sent home with an ample supply of drugs and told to follow the directions on the bottles and rest. The vagina is an important channel of elimination for the female body. The effect of all the drugs had this person was to force the elimination back into the system. And that's what drugs do. They dry up the very mucus that's trying to come out. And that's deadly for the uterus, because the uterus, you know what they end up with then? When all that waste is in the uterus, what happens? They end up with what doctors call fibroid tumors. The mucus is thick and heavy and can't come out. It ultimately settled in her lungs, where the body tried to eliminate it again. A friend of hers who knew that I frequently help people with physical ailments came to my house in the middle of the night and said that her friend was at home and in terrible shape and scared to go back to the hospital. Isn't that amazing, folks? You're afraid to go back to the hospital. You're afraid to go to the doctor. You're afraid to go to emergency. Emergency means you got 12-hour wait. It means you got a 12-hour wait. Folks, it's the body trying to get rid of the waste. Honest to God, it's the body trying to get rid of the waste. It's not trying to kill you. Your body is not against you. Your body is your humble servant. It's always worked on your behalf. We are alive because of what the body has done for us, not what we've done for the body, because we tried to kill the body. This mucus, this discharge, all this waste is just trying to come out of the body. Medicine has this thing that they classify every natural function of the body as the enemy and choose to do battle with it. Poor George Washington died with 7 doctors standing around his bedside. He had a raging fever. They refused him 1 drop of water, saying that the water was sure to worsen the condition. Only thing that could have saved him was water, and they refused him 1 drop of water. As soon as he died, one of the young doctors standing there said, maybe we should have gave him water. Well, it's one thing for sure, he couldn't have died more miserable than being without it. Why not give it to him? America must awaken and take care of themselves. We are our best friend. We're our body's best friend. We have to realize that and then act upon the information. That's why we try very hard to give information to people so you can make, at least you know, alternative information. I've got a little secret to tell you. The alternative is the drug. The herb has always worked, and every animal on earth knows it. except the intelligent one. Wake up, America. That's the reason why we tell you. Growing old does not make us sick. It's growing sick that makes us old. For the University of Common Sense, I'm Tim Morrow. And you'll see us next time.